From his first 4 small crops, he was the #2 sire in North America and Europe on apex figures, splitting Galileo and Warfront. He just looks the part. He exudes class. He looks like Northern Dancer. I mean, it's impossible to get better than that. When you know a horse is this good, you have to be able to push the chips out on the table and to play that hand. He's a superstar.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Spa Babies, presented by Spendthrift, the Breeders' Farm. I'm Dan Illman, along with Nicole Russo, and we'll kick off Thursday's Late Pick 5 with race number 7. We're going 6 furlongs on the main track. It is a maiden special weight for New York breds, and as we take a look at the field, we see that Spendthrift is represented by the #2, Magnetique, by their first crop stallion, Normandy Invasion, and the #3, Risky Mischief, by one of the best in the business, Into Mischief. It's really a fun race, Nicole. Several first-time starters. You've got 1 or 2 in here that have run and have upside potential, but it's wide open.
I think so. I think this is a very strong, competitive group with some freshman sires in here, some established juvenile sires, including Into Mischief. I really think this is a competitive race. And like we always say, I'm going to advise our viewers to watch the board and look for their value, and perhaps to use every tool available to them, including paddock and post-parade handicapping here to, look for an edge with a horse or 2 in this competitive group.
Couldn't agree with you more, and we'll take the field in post-position order, beginning with the #1. Easy for you to say. This filly does have experience. She ran against Fierce Lady, who was very, very promising. She just ran off the screen and then was stakes placed in her subsequent outing. So easy for you to say. Let's be easy on her for being beaten 21.5 lengths. She was also steadied a little bit lightly coming out of the gate, saved ground, and gets Lasix. She was the first starter from Majestic City. What can we expect from this young stallion?
Well, Majestic City, I certainly expect them to show some speed. I expect them to be versatile. I expect them to, perhaps have some, surface versatility as well. Majestic City is by the late City Zip. His sons in New York include the very fast Bustin' Stones, who we talk about frequently in these videos, as a solid 2-year-old sire in New York. I expect Majestic City to follow in the pattern of that sire line. This filly, just out of a terrific race mare, I believe she won 15 races, adding Lasix, and her maiden has come back very well. You mentioned Fierce Lady, who came back to be stakes placed, and I believe the 3rd place finisher has come back to win as well. I think easy for you to say could be formidable in this group if she can get away well from the rail.
The #2, Magnetique, goes out for the very familiar trainer-jockey combination of Todd Pletcher, Johnny Velasquez. This filly by Spendthrift stallion Normandy Invasion, an $85,000 purchase in May after breezing a furlong in 10-4. And she's a half-to-extinct charm who was a 2-year-old stakes winner, albeit going long. Let's talk a little bit about Normandy Invasion, who was grade 1 placed, had his share of injuries, unfortunately, that kind of curtailed his career, but has the pedigree and the presence to be a nice stallion.
Yeah, I think Normandy Invasion's very interesting. He had a terrific physical. A lot was always expected of him. Ran a very sneaky good, I believe, 4th in the 2013 Kentucky Derby. Unfortunately, never broke through with that grade 1 win, but he was always a well-regarded horse. He's by Tappet, who currently has 3 sons in the top 5 on the freshman earnings list in a strong class, all with stakes winners already. Normandy Invasion started his stud career in New York for Spendthrift and then was called up to Kentucky because they thought so well of him early, because he was so popular early. I think really he could be a sneaky good member of this freshman sire class.
And this very productive dam was a stakes-placed dirt sprinter. She has foaled 6 winners already, and it's from the family of a graded stakes-winning sprinter named Love That Mac. We know that Todd likes to get him ready to go at Saratoga. This filly looks like a very solid contender, as does the #3, Risky Mischief, by Spendthrift stallion Into Mischief, a $350,000 yearling. Into Mischief does very well with just about everything, 15% with 2-year-old first-time starters, but this dam won 6 sprint stakes races. The second dam was a graded stakes winning sprinter. Boy, Risky Mischief picks up Jose Ortiz. There's a lot to like.
Yeah, definitely. You talk about the pedigree and it's speed over speed over speed. Plenty of speed in that female family. Into Mischief has developed into a perennial leading 2-year-old sire. And this one shows some really sharp works for her debut.
They certainly look intriguing, don't they? And I'm curious to see what Mike Welsh has to say when he releases the Clocker Report, either a little bit later this afternoon or on Wednesday. It looks like those two works on July 4th and July 11th might have come in company with My Italian Rabbi, who's trained by Jeremiah Engelhardt, undefeated in 2 starts and won the Stillwater Stakes, beating Fierce Lady on July the 18th with the 75 buyer. Plus, we have a positive formulator fact for Engelhardt. Past 3 years, 2-year-old debut runners in New York bred maiden special dirt sprints at Saratoga, and that's a mouthful, 27% in a 304 ROI. Strong contender to be sure. The number 4 is Playtone, a $75,000 yearling. He sold for double that amount in April after breezing in 10-2 from the first crop of Tonalist, one of my all-time favorite horses. And a lot of people remember Tonalist for his big win in the Belmont Stakes. He also won the Jockey Club Gold Cup twice and was versatile enough to cut back and win the Cigar Mile. Do you still think they're going to need a little bit of time and more distance?
I do, definitely. As you mentioned, Tonalist was versatile enough to cut back and win the Cigar Mile, but he definitely, even though, they might have that versatility to win a little bit shorter, Tonalist was a horse who developed into his 3-year-old year and beyond. I do think even if they win at shorter distances, they're going to need the time. The ones that I've seen at the sales are very much in the mold of Tonalist, very leggy, long, scopy physicals. I do think they're going to need some time to kind of develop and get themselves sorted out. Tonalist is another freshman in this class, though, by Tapit, really beginning to emerge as a sire of sires.
Couple of fast works on display, but I do agree with you. I think maybe this filly will need a little bit more distance, although the dam was a stakes place sprinter as a 2-year-old. The number 5 is I'm Incommunicado, and she's supposed to be fast. McLean's Music is best known for siring a Preakness winner, but he was a very fast horse in his one and only start, and he has sired quick ones, 19% winners. That's very good with 2-year-old debut runners. The dam won a couple of routes. The dam's a half to Informed, who was a multiple grade 2 winning router on a synthetic surface. Interesting mixture in this pedigree of speed over stamina for trainer Derek Ryan. Only sold for $15,000, however.
Yeah, I will say that I'm Incommunicado is another who's going to need more distance. Certainly a lot of distance in that female family with Informed, Discreet Hero, graded winning routers. McLean's Music, won going shorter in his only start, but was bred to go a bit longer, the sire of a Preakness winner. I'm going to wait for this one with a bit more ground.
The number 6, Courageous Girl, is one of 2 in here, trained by David Donk. And this one is from the first crop of Bourbon Courage, who I believe won the Super Derby, going long, a grade 2 stakes winner. What can we expect from Bourbon Courage? This is not the most common sire line, being by Lionheart.
Yeah, Bourbon Courage really came out well with some of his early runners. Picked up a couple of winners early in this freshman class to, rank nationally early among the freshman sires, which was impressive considering he stands in Maryland and just numbers-wise does not have as many foals, as many runners as some of these other horses. So some of these do want to run early. I think that's very intriguing. But looking at Courageous Girl's female family, I think that she might want a bit more ground as well.
I agree. The dam's a half to a stakes place turf router, and David Donk likes to take his time, as we see from this formulator fact. Over the past 5 years, juvenile debut runners, state-bred maiden special dirt sprints, 0 for 23. Donk has an experienced horse, and he does do better second time out. He's got the 7, Beyond Brown, who finished ahead of Easy for You to Say in that live Fierce Lady race on June the 22nd. Listen, she was just simply out-sprinted that day. I thought she was a little bit green, changing leads early on the turn. She ducked back to the inside, and she passed a couple of horses late. By Big Brown from the family of Missy's Mirage, a good grade 1 stakes winner when I was a kid. Beyond Brown might be able to improve second out.
Yeah, I think so. And, a terrific female family. Big Brown has really turned into a solid regional sire for the New York and Pennsylvania and Mid-Atlantic market. Beyond Brown is a half sibling to 9 winners from a dozen starters out of the dam. It's a productive family. And again, coming out of that very live maiden race, you might get a little bit of value on this one.
There's some precocity in the pedigree of the number 8, Central Capital, a daughter of the Fleet Central banker, $15,000 short yearling, sold for double that amount as a yearling. I like the Central bankers. I think they're precocious and fast. The dam was multiple stakes placed as a 2-year-old, and trainer Leah Jarmati is just underrated across the board, but extremely so with first-time starters, as we see with this formulator fact that also concerns the 10 Big Bounty. Past 4 years, 2-year-old first-time starters in Naira, New York bred maiden special dirt sprints, 3 for 7 and a $9 ROI. Central Capital picks up Junior Alvarado.
Yeah, and Central Banker, we talked about a lot last summer on Spa Babies in these New York bred maiden races. The son of Spitestown was New York's leading freshman sire last year, and with the help of runners like Bankit, who competed creditably against Open Company, climbed into the national top 10 among freshman sires. Again, I really think it's noteworthy when these regional sires, make it onto the national lists among freshmen, among 2-year-olds, just because you're playing a numbers game against those Kentucky Stallions. Central Capital comes in with a long and solid work tab, probably has a nice foundation underneath her.
I wonder if the 9 Barker Lane's going to need a little bit more distance. She's by just a rock-solid stallion in Bellamy Road, 8% winners with 2-year-old firsters. The dam was placed routing. The 4th dam, Gino, was a pretty fast horse, a graded stakes winner, but I wonder if this one may need a start.
I think so as well. That was exactly the note that I made on this horse, that she might benefit from experience, from distance. Her dam was placed routing on dirt. I think this one, that there are a number of horses in this field that I think you could watch on Thursday and then circle, to watch for next time out with a bit more ground or a surface switch. And that's exactly what I said about this one.
And Eddie Barker does do well with all 2-year-olds on dirt over the past 5 years, 25% winners and a 277 ROI. We'll move on to Big Bounty, the last horse in the body of the field. There are 2 also eligibles. Big Bounty's by Posse, quick 2-year-old in his own right, 9% winners with 2-year-old debut runners. This is the family, though, of Better Than Honor, and all she did in her career was full 2 Belmont Stakes winners and a lot more.
Yeah, several stakes horses after being a graded winner in her own right. Everything from this terrific family runs, just through the generations, even at lower levels. The dam of Big Bounty has thrown 6 winners from as many starters. It's such a productive family. But, there's a lot of distance in the family. And this one, interestingly, has worked on turf most recently. I'm wondering if this one is here for the experience and if, the intent is for something else down the line.
We kick off Thursday's late pick 5 with our Spa Baby race. Race number 7, a couple of interesting first-time starters, couple of experienced runners. Who do you like best?
Again, I said this was a very competitive race. I had a very hard time eliminating horses. I expect, again, we're shooting this 48 hours out. I expect the favorites to be Magnetique for Todd Pletcher, the Normandy Invasion starter, and Risky Mischief with those sharp works, the daughter of Into Mischief. But again, 48 hours out, watch the board, watch the post parade. Easy for you to say. I really, there's a lot that intrigues me about this one, coming out of the solid maiden from a sire line that can throw juveniles, adding Lasix for the second start. I think the key will be if she can get away well from that rail position. You'll want to see if she's on her toes in the paddock, if she's warming up solidly in the post parade and, ready to make that sharp break that she'll need. I also think Central Capital by Central Banker really might be ready to go early for Leah Jarmati with that terrific work tab. So, I don't think you can overlook the favorites, but I might try to beat them with those 2 depending on how race day shapes up.
I have a feeling the word's going to be out on Risky Mischief. $350,000 daughter of Into Mischief, strong work tab trainer that wins first time out. I'm going to key most of my play around Risky Mischief, but I am going to use the experienced horses as well. The 7 Beyond Brown and the horse that you mentioned, the One Easy for You to Say. I think those experienced runners can offer up some value, especially in the single race exotics. And at the 11, Aubrey Tate does draw into the body of the race. I might use her as well from the first crop of Bayern. She was scratched during the warm-ups and won a race early this meet. She had some interesting workouts and an interesting pedigree to boot. But 3-7-1 for me in race number 7 at the Spa on Thursday. It is your Spa Baby race, and it is presented by Spendthrift, the Breeders' Farm.